How's it going, guys? Right Brain Forest, episode 13 now. Yep, we're up to episode 13. Um, Check out the new background. Yep, we got some Costa Rica sunset vibes. Took that picture myself. This week has been an addition to just a crazy week. It's been a crazy week in addition to crazy weeks. The craziness seems to keep ramping up. I'm not really quite sure how much crazier. I do have some idea. We'll talk about how some ideas of what other people have for how crazy it can go, and then we'll maybe see where we go from there. But the first thing for this week is the come up, like usual. And this week, I think the come up should be, and this one's maybe a little bit like morally apprehensible, but in today's day and age, like really, I'm not to judge is really overall the point. So this week's come up is generating AI videos for, like, I was watching this commercial for, I don't know, some type of wildlife rescue, something like that. And it was just like a leopard that was drowning, and it just kept like playing the same video clip, which I'm not even sure that they had, because they probably saved the leopard. And so they probably didn't roll up on it with a camera crew to film it. And so maybe they did. I don't know. But the commercial looked like it was just a AI generated loop of this leopard just with the river, like, the way it just glitches. And so I was thinking that's probably fake. That's probably fake. They're probably running a huge scam. I think that's probably a pretty easy one again to do at this point with how good these deep fake AI videos are. I wouldn't be surprised if there's already just Russian like hackers and Chinese hackers already on this shit. Not even, state funded, but just privateer type motherfuckers. You just create a sad video of a kitten that can't get down from a tree, or like, like they're like, damn, like like, did you see that kitten stuck in the tree? It's such a big tree. They need a 64-foot ladder to get that kitten out of the tree. And they don't make 64-foot ladders. So they have to get one of those crane things, and they can't just rent one. They have to buy one. So I've been donating to the GoFundMe. I think, like, generally that's probably a pretty, I think, common thing right now. So if you want to get on that, depending on your moral compass, I suppose, regarding that, it's probably pretty easy to just ramp one of these things up. I think probably generally anything, maybe with some monkeys that are having some issues, some like some AIDS monkeys or something like that. That I think probably pulls on the heartstrings of America. Malarial outbreaks, or just really anything, I suppose, that just kind of like seems like a humanitarian crisis, or like a leopard that's just stuck in a lake or a river somewhere. That I don't really know what the whole campaign was around the leopard, dude. I mean, the video is basically just them being like, yeah, thanks for giving us all this money. We saved this leopard, and now you're giving it food and stuff. And I guess if you want to give us more money, we'll maybe find more. So that could be a come up. I'm not advising. My legal team has advised me to not advise anybody to do any of these come ups. So, legal disclaimer, I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just saying this is something people are definitely coming up on right now. The come up isn't always one that I can suggest, I suppose. Sometimes it might just be an observation of current come ups, and people can do with that what they will. It's free will and all. For the fuck this week, I have the World Health Organization preparing for a nuclear incident in Iran, which I actually just read that headline this morning, which is a pretty crazy headline to wake up to, especially considering where we were a year and a half ago, I guess, about where it just basically was like, if Kamala Harris gets elected, she's going to start a war with Iran. I'm the only one, this is Trump speaking, I'm the only one who can stop a war with Iran because I'm such a good negotiator. Obama's a dog shit negotiator. He got us in this problem, and Kamala's even worse. So they're just gonna like walk all over her, and they're just gonna like build a nuke or whatever. And she's gonna have to start a war to stop them. And so now that we're at this point, which, like, I already was kind of like, okay, when I saw the B1 mission or whatever to blow up their nuclear enrichment program, because to my research, which I did a fair bit of research on at that point, I wasn't really sure. I was like, maybe this is good, maybe this is great, maybe this is bad. I'm not sure. Didn't really want to have a war with Iran, so I checked it out. And to my understanding, there was no like change to Iran's ability to have nuclear enrichment for weapons grade uranium. So apparently, you need 90% enrichment to have weapons grade. I believe they had like 60%. Uh, they were supposed to have some agreement to knock over 30% or something, but like I don't know what amount you need to have power. So that was already something that I was like, okay, it seems like from as far as I could tell, every international commission, every international inspector that went in there had tried to sign off and say that they're not aiming for nuclear enrichment capability for weapons grade plutonium, except for Israel. And some of you might say, well, they might have been hiding it. But I mean, like, also, they tried to say the same thing about Iraq and Saddam. And so we all know how that panned out. If you don't, there was no weapons of mass destruction there. And so, yeah, like, it seems like we maybe just destroyed their capability of giving themselves nuclear power. And so I feel like that was already going to tick them off, but whatever. America's top dog, we swing that big stick and that big dick around. But now, flash forward to now, and to hear that apparently the World Health Organization, and obviously this is not like it's only indicative of so much, but they are preparing for. They're training their operatives. They're preparing with supplies and things like that that would deal with a nuclear incident that would involve either a nuclear strike by the United States in Iran or hitting of some type of nuclear reactor facility that would cause leakage and cause harmful radiation to leak out into the surrounding area. And so either one of these two things seems like a pretty crazy escalation. Obviously, better be safe than sorry as far as they're concerned. So they're probably, hopefully just jumping the gun a little bit on the whole nuclear preparedness, but nuclear. So yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of the fuck. Like the fuck is up with us maybe having a nuclear incident in Iran. Like I don't think that really any Americans want to repeat fucking Nagasaki or Hiroshima. And so that really doesn't strike me as America first. I think that probably trying to come again. I mean, we've already what we claim now is taking out their navy and all that stuff and whatever other our goals have been. So, but then it maybe is our goal is unconditional surrender, which I'm not really sure what that means. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of it's for me really just that was the fuck headline to read to just wake up and be like, whoa, the fuck, that's crazy. I don't want that to happen. So yeah, not the greatest news. And it's a weird headline for sure. Really grabs your attention. Um, what's run amok this week and generally just recently is this voter ID, this Save America Act. So the Republicans keep saying, or the whoever the fuck's in office now, I don't really know because I'm a conservative, but I don't really know what the deal is with these um neo-fascist conservatives that are trying to take something away that's constitutionally protected, which is states' rights to control their voting. But this voter ID Save America Act, which they keep saying that this is like a 70-30 issue or 80-20 issue, that like the majority of voters all agree with this. And this is accurate to some extent. It's accurate to the extent that I believe that most people think that you should have like an ID to vote, like you should show some form of ID to vote. However, where this is being confused and where it's gone run amok is that they're not asking for an ID to vote, they're asking for proof of citizenship to vote. So you're going to need to register to vote, or not just register to vote, but to cast your vote. To my understanding, you're going to need to show some form of valid identification, which, newsflash, most people in America don't have the valid identification on them. So you would need a passport or a real ID, which both of them need multiple pieces of identifying information. A social security card doesn't count solely as like proof of identity or proof of birth in the United States. So you would need to also have a birth certificate or, yeah, one of these verified ID sources, which I believe 60% of Americans don't have a passport. And considering that the TSA has gone through so much, that they just had so many people that were just like, fuck, I know I've been seeing for the last like 3 or 4 years that I was supposed to get that real ID bullshit, but like that isn't real, is it? And they're like, that they just started charging you $40, which so many people fly so little and have such little need to update their real ID that they just opt to pay the additional $40 and don't go get it. And so I don't think that most Americans realize that with what they're proposing for this act is basically just a blatant fascist voter suppression power grab that would isolate almost every marginalized demographic in this country, certainly significantly more parts of this country that are just underfunded communities and have less access to things, that like people that come from disenfranchised living situations and things like that. And at the end of the day, voter fraud doesn't exist. There's almost none. There's very few reported cases as far as they do an auditing system. Again, if you don't really know how our voting system works, so people go down, like you're registered to vote. You either have a mail-in ballot that they mail to you, or you go down to, a voting station or whatever. And then there's another additional auditing system to make sure that people aren't casting an additional vote with that registered vote. And so when they do, they go and find these people. So like a woman who had cast a vote, she used her dog, but she still used her voter registration like information. She like mailed in the ballot, but tried to use her dog to vote twice for Biden or something like that. And she got prosecuted. Another woman, she was tampering with state voting machines in Colorado for Trump. She got prosecuted for state voter fraud, which is state, or well, it was for a federal election, but it was a state crime. And then Trump tried to pardon her, but it's a federal crime, so he couldn't do that. I'm sure that he has no interest in pardoning the double voter though. And so there's systems in place where when somebody casts another vote, or if somebody were to steal your mail-in ballot like out of your mailbox, like what really here are we suggesting? Are we suggesting that immigrants are going around stealing people's mail-in ballot from their mailbox and then filling it out in favor of what they're claiming is Democrats, mailing that in, and then the person whose mail-in ballot got stolen is not going to vote themselves? Because if they went to vote themselves, which because they didn't get their mail-in ballot, or if they like requested another one and then they mailed in that one, it would show the duplicate vote. And so somebody would investigate that. They'd be like, oh, whoa, no, I didn't do that. That's not my handwriting, blah, 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 blah. Some type of, investigation would follow. And that hasn't happened. So we're saying, or they're suggesting, that the need to make the elections federalized, which again is protected in the Constitution as a state's right, the need to federalize elections and the need to make it so you need to either have a passport, a real ID, or a birth certificate plus your social plus obviously local state ID to confirm your identity to vote, to stop immigrants from supposedly stealing mail-in ballots and filling them. This makes no sense. Like this idea and framework for this idea is completely run amok. Any wording and phrasing around it that's alternative to this, like being a blatant act of voter suppression, is just blatant rhetoric. Yeah, I don't know. Fucking if you care about that shit, if you're in a state that's like a swing state, or like, have a conservative state, and you really like care about not having, like, to be able to just, I guess, generally vote and not having, I don't know, some like Gestapo fucking ICE agents outside of the voting booths, making sure that everybody there is a citizen. And if you don't pull up with everything crossed and all your T's dotted, that you're going to get rounded up and put in a fucking ICE detention facility for even 24 hours, which is just seems like hell in there. So yeah, that's not good. I would say that's quite literally run amok. And another example of some type of outside opinion on a little bit of the state of what's going on with that and some other these issues in America right now. The V Dem Institute in Sweden, which is a independent institute run in Sweden that analyzes democracies all over the uh, basically charts based on 48 points where democracies are, and they charted things like the turnover of an autocracy into Turkey, and I don't know where else, fucking some of these other countries. But and their report on the United States this year is very grim. They said that compared to some of these other places where Hungary and Turkey, and there's one other one where they had democratic backsliding in the last few years, that the US had that they took 4 years at a time, 8 years, 10 years to do these respectively, but in the United States that there's been a rapid consolidation or rapid reduction of democracy, that the institutions that were instilled to put checks and balances are failing, and that Trump's America is really rapidly moving in within 1 year time to a complete autocracy. And so, again, I mean, I'm conservative. Like, I think that it's fair to say that we're beyond this really being Republican or Democrat. Like, I think, frankly, none of that really matters to me anymore. Like, it's always been kind of the same bullshit. It's always been the same, whatever nonsense. Either these people are bombing the Middle East, either these people are, upholding to the fucking big pharma and big business and big oil and are cool with polluting or this and that, but there's always just like, one little metric or the other, I suppose, that they have a more forward framework for. But now I feel like things have just gone off the rails, like really, it's really just run amok in my opinion. So who is winning for this fucking this week or generally right now is the, I would say, first of all, the new Iranian supreme leader, or Iranian, obviously up. His dad, I don't know how long his dad had to fucking live. I mean, to my understanding, he was ruling already the Revolutionary Guard. He was like a bit of like a shadow. I guess they'd kind of already switched to him being more of like the actual leader and kind of from like a shadowy position. Like he's not been seen publicly, which is probably a good idea based on what's been happening in Iran. And so, I mean, they killed his dad, which, depending on your relationship with your dad, I guess could be good or bad. They killed his wife, I think maybe his daughter, probably a bunch of his friends, supposedly maybe maimed him, and he's horrifically scarred and disfigured for the rest of his life. So like, but like he's now the new supreme leader. So he has control over everything, and he can, I suppose, continue to try and build a nuke, or definitely at the very least run up these fucking mining vessels in the middle or in the Strait of Hormuz, and or is it Hormuz? I don't know, but running up these mining vessels in the Strait and missiling a bunch of tankers and shit. And so, like, I mean, it seems like he probably has a lot of reason to be angry at us. Maybe not. I'm not sure. I can't really speak on it. Like he might be hyped. He might be hyped about just generally being like, well, whenever this conflict is over and I get these skin grafts put on and I, you know, make more daughters with my other 18 wives, or however it works, or just meet a new wife or whatever. Like I'm now the new supreme leader and control the strait, and kind of proven that the United States has definitely bit off more it can chew in here, and really just given them, I think, a very good bargaining chip that they've had this entire time that kind of like kept the meter balanced. But yeah, so they're winning. Also, Israel's winning. Obviously, Bibi's winning. He's having to prove that he's real through, like, there was a video that looked like, honestly, I watched the video. It's mad funny. The video where they said it looked like it was an AI fake. I like the part where it said that he had 6 fingers. Like he definitely didn't. I looked and I saw, and it's just like a shadow. It was like that. But that's besides the point. We're now in this new digital age where deep fakes are such a problem that basically you can't even be a head of state doing a public service announcement without, if there's even like the slightest like frame glitching, then you're just subject to it just being hearsay, I suppose. So he's been trying to prove his proof of life, which they've sent a bunch of people out there now. He's been doing all these videos. Like he's on like a sick one. I think he got like LeBron James to fucking run like a dunk contest or something with him. I think he got fucking the Nelk boys out there. So he's definitely on a sick one, proving that he's real. But he's up winning for sure. Israel's winning. They with relatively no, I don't know, like no, I mean, no real cost to them, have pulled America into this conflict with Iran. Like, and that's not even hearsay. That's just straight up the reality at this point. So yeah, they're winning. They're definitely fucking doing, I don't know, whatever they do over there to fucking cheer. I mean, they're being bombed pretty hard, but I don't really know if they've had very many deaths or like injuries. Like, I don't know. They got a pretty good, like, we spend a lot of money in Israel to make sure that they don't really get like killed when they get bombed, you know, like that we have a lot of money intercepting missiles and things like that. So they're getting bombed back, but I feel like they're definitely feel, I mean, definitely, I don't know about how like the general Israeli person feels, but I can say that BB feels like that they're winning and they're happy to fucking, I don't know, just be spreading conflict into the greater region. At this point, they're just bombing whoever the fuck. Like, okay, Lebanon wants some smoke. Like Lebanon's getting smoke. Who else wants some fucking smoke? No surprise that fucking no surprise that Pete Hegseth is in over his head, I suppose, is the main thing. I mean, to be honest, he was a Fox News anchor or whatever 6 months ago. I think he served like one or two tours in Iraq or Afghanistan or something as like just like some basic infantry or whatever. He then was news anchor that was very pro Trump, and then all of a sudden he was running the largest military force in the world. I know like there's all these reports of him spending $90 billion in the last month of 2025 because the military is like a, you know, if you don't use it you lose it type budget shit. So I mean he got some smoke for buying crab and things like then lobster, which I think all that's like on the up and up. I think like assuming it wasn't just going to the Pentagon every day for the next fucking 2 years or 3 years or however long $1 million, multiple millions of dollars worth of lobster would last that group of people. I think like the US military could probably eat that in like a couple nights or something. So I'm for that spending. But I mean there was some wild things like $100,000 piano for somebody's office, which is like considering that the Pentagon never pass an audit. I mean, can you imagine trying to audit the fucking Pentagon? The Pentagon's like 5 levels, and the in most internal level is where all like probably where the aliens are. Like that's probably where like the alien council is that also meets with the fucking Chevron and Techron CEOs and the AI CEOs and the top military brass and all that shit. And then like it goes farther and farther out. So if inside's aliens and 5 is like if you don't have the right badging, probably AI guns just fucking vaporize you in a hallway. Um Imagine trying to audit these dudes because like the IRS has no clearance like at all. So you walk in and just like, okay, so we're trying to review where all this money has gone. You've burned close to $1 trillion a year every year for the last decade, basically going back plus. So let's review. So just everything is redacted, and they're like, yeah, sorry, like that's all black book. All I see here is United States, Venezuela, Maduro abducted. And like, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, obviously that was a good op. What can we say? But what we can not tell you is where any of the money went. And you're definitely not stepping into really any area where you could talk to anybody that knows anything at all going on. I don't even know what's going on. This is all fucking redacted to me. Like, I honestly, like, I might get killed now that I know just those 3 words from this fucking sentence. So they can't get audited. So they just kind of do whatever the fuck they want with money anyways. But no surprise that he's in over his head and the Iran war is going bad. The straits closed. We're facing like an escalation ladder situation where we've had just a bunch of random goals that we keep like spewing out for targets or goals or whatever. But at this point, We can't get shipping through the strait, so gas prices are rising. Inflation's definitely, like they keep saying, on the way down. Like, obviously, everything's cheaper. Gas prices rising, and the Fed saying today that they're not going to change the interest rates for anything is just it's going to just keep things like a real smooth, kosher, flat like curve, like they keep saying. I mean, like we're like curving way up here right now. Like right now, I don't know the value of a dollar from honestly day to day, definitely sometimes hour to hour at this point. Like I go to fucking McDonald's or actually I haven't really been eating at McDonald's, but like I go to Del Taco a lot. Like I love Del Taco. Del Taco sponsor me. I'm probably one of your biggest supporters. Anyway, so I go to Del Taco a lot, and I feel like I can go there. Sometimes I hit Del Taco twice a day. Like that's how much I fuck with Del Taco. And so sometimes I feel like I go there in the morning and I ordered chili cheese fry and a Del Combo burrito and some fries and all of it extra crispy. And then I come back this and it's like $26.99. And then I come back the same day and I swear to God, it's I think fucking $28.99. And I got less food that time. So I don't know the value of a dollar from day to day, hour to hour. Shit's just like I think, whatever they want to fucking have stick just kind of sticks. I think like I think they're probably setting prices right now at places and they're just watching on the cameras and they're like, do you think he's gonna buy it? They set like I don't know, $18 for a Fiji water. And you walk up and you're like, 18 fucking dollars. Like, what am I at the airport? Hell no. Leave. So they're like, all right, roll that back. We'll put it at like 980. And then somebody walks in, they're like, 980 for a Fiji water. Like, what am I at the fucking goddamn airport? And like, well, I mean, I was there last week and it was fucking 17.99. So like I guess 1050's at like a steal or whatever. And then they're just like, oh my God, like you fucking bought it. Okay. We're locked in on this. And everybody shut the fuck up. So that's kind of what I feel like is our how prices are going right now. And so straits closed. We're in an escalation ladder situation where we might end up nuking them, is what people are preparing for. Where the strait is definitely mined. It's definitely getting multiple $1 billion oil tankers that can get clipped by like a $60,000 drone or whatever. And the main thing too is interesting is that our allies like France and Belgium and whoever else, I don't know, some European Union people, they're apparently talking to the new Iranian government or like the new Iranian leader to be like, hey, can we just make an arrangement with you guys where we tag our boats and then like we just pay you guys some money straight up and then we can just skirt through. And so that would be an interesting development if honestly, like instead of helping us in this war, our allies just were like, y'all stepped in that shit. You can deal with it. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. We're bombing their oil facilities now. Then and like their oil production facility. We just bombed the world's largest oil field, which is in Iran. And then apparently, which I mean, all this is news to me, by the way. I didn't know that the world's largest oil field was in Iran. I guess I know very little about Iran. I think most Americans probably generally know very little about them. And so yeah, they're bombing their oil facilities. They said that they're going to start bombing oil facilities back in Saudi Arabia and just with the UAE in general. And so that's great. We have the Russians actively providing them targeting info to attack the oil infrastructure, like so they can identify U.S. oil infrastructure versus foreign and whatnot. And so they're actively giving them targeting information. And in the meantime, because of the strait being closed, we've removed the sanctions on Russia. So we're buying now their oil, which is cool. That makes sense. You know what I mean? It's like we just give them hundreds of billions of dollars to continue to give them targeting data that is proving highly effective to make us give them more money by shorting our supplies. So that's a whole interesting sort of development. I mean, like at this point, you really got to ask, like, why? Like, why are we doing any of this? Like, what about any of this part has been America first or to make America great again? Like, all we've ever done in the Middle East is just lost money. I mean, I'm pro like bombing, like pro peppering the Middle East with some bombs, like as much as the next guy. Like, I don't want to get nicks from any military industrial complex advertising campaigns, like if fucking Halliburton or Boeing or really any of these dudes want to shoot me some money, I can change my tune on this fucking war shit real quick. But until then, yeah, like I think that we could just do with bombing them a little bit, like we did with before. And so Yeah, this guy's kind of no surprise that this fucking guy who's so in like he's so incapable of even dealing with reporters taking photos of him. Like he banned all press from taking photos of him, literally in quotes because of unfavorable photos that they published. So he only wants like Pentagon reporters in there that are willing to just give him only like service and fluff photos. So like we have the person who's in charge of the world's largest military, like the top seat underneath the president of our military, worried about unflattering photos to the point where he's needing to personally approve the ones that get published by the fluff service photographers that the Pentagon is using. And so I think like it's no surprise that somebody who's that distracted, we'll just say, with things like buying pianos and making sure that his press photography isn't flattered and yelling at the press that they're just not covering the news in a favorable and unpatriotic decision. It's no surprise that he's dropping tomahawk missiles on girls' schools, and then it's taking the United States weeks to then be like, oh shit, like did we do that? Oh no. Can we just stop talking about it though? For real. If you guys could just shut the fuck up and talk about how like good it is that we killed Ayatollah or whatever. So yeah, no surprise there. Another no surprise in regard to this is that there's no regime change. And I guess like as the president's saying, he's like, I'm surprised we're not seeing more protests. I'm surprised we're not seeing more protests. And I'm surprised that they started attacking their allies or just our allies in the Middle East and in the region aren't that are Muslim. And it's interesting that he's surprised at that as the commander in chief because I wasn't surprised at it because I read just on Reddit. I'm like a Reddit armchair news guy or whatever for this show. And so I read reports that the national security chiefs like had put out prior to this saying that all of like the CIA, the NSA, like every one of our security apparatus in the United States had all come to the uniform conclusion that we could kill Ayatollah, we could kill their top leaders, we could kill their top military officials, we could kill really all the people that we hit on this hit list, and that there would be no regime change. That it was too firmly entrenched in, based on all the information that they have, all that would happen most likely is that there would be more support for the regime and potentially a consolidation of power under a more hardline regime that would probably seek getting a nuclear weapon even more because of, you know, jihad and whatnot. And so it's interesting that he's surprised about that. And it's also interesting that he was surprised that, you know, the president, again, commander of our armed forces, commander in chief, was surprised that they started attacking other people because his former security advisor said openly that I told him straight up. You know, this is the quote from Trump. He said, nobody, or no, sorry. He said he was asked whether he was surprised that nobody had briefed him ahead of time that Iran might retaliate in such a way. Trump replied, nobody, no, no, no. The greatest experts, nobody thought they were going to hit. They were, I wouldn't say friendly countries. They were like neutral. They lived with them for years. Numerous experts, however, had publicly warned that Iran would likely respond to attacks by targeting nearby U.S. allies, with top Iranian officials themselves vowing that Tehran would do so. John Bolton, who served under Trump before a public falling out, said he was surprised by Trump's claim because he himself had, as his national security advisor, prepped him on scenarios in which that was what the likelihood was. So I don't know. Again, make of that kind of what you will. But what I can say is that I'm not surprised by all of the stuff that is unfolding now in regards to this Iran conflict. Okay, moving on. So who is down? Who's down this week? So there's this priest that he's a bishop, I believe, in the Catholic Church in San Diego. And this motherfucker, bro, I mean, in his heyday, this dude ran up a crazy bag. So they claim he took $500,000 to $1 million from church funds. I can tell you personally that is a grossly underestimated number. So what happened? So this bishop in the Catholic Church, he has embezzled what they say is $1 million from the church, and that he was going down to Tijuana, that he has a family down there, and he was a frequenter of the Tijuana Gentlemen's Club, Hong Kong Players Club. And I can tell you, as a frequenter of the Hong Kong Players Club myself, I'm a gold card membership. Gold card membership. Hong Kong sponsor me. That would be fucking sick. I'm well familiar with the pastor. Okay, we called him we called him the preacher down there. My guy was throwing hundreds, thousands, like $1 million is such a gross estimate. I spent $50,000 with champagne with this fool on a. I mean, I didn't, but I witnessed him spending $50,000 on in the champagne room at fucking Hong Kong myself personally. The dude had a receipt around his neck, just literally like it was a fucking scarf, and he was just flexing on all the, you know, just coming down and just been, you know, flexing on all the strippers. um so he's down, unfortunately, for me and really just anybody else that would party with him. He got arrested trying to flee the border after they caught him on the embezzlement shit, which I think, like I said, he's pretty lucky that they only caught him for the million. I know his family in Mexico. I know them personally as well, and they're eating fat for sure. They're still caking out. They're living good. He bought them a whole casita. Um, Unfortunately for him, his run is up. They caught him, and I don't know what happens. Like, I don't know. I feel like the Catholic Church is just like, oh, that's a shame. He is a no good. We will punish him ourselves. And they're like, no, this is in violation of federal and state law. We're gonna fucking prosecute him in state court or federal court. And they're like, no, we know you think of that, but he's already on a G6 to the Vatican, and we promise you, he'll be reformed. He'll be punished. This is never will happen again. And then I'm sure when he gets to the Vatican, he's just like, I know. And they're like, don't worry, my child. You know, a rape of the kids, you know, molested the children. This is nothing. This will go away in the news in 2 weeks. You think we're not spend the money in the Hong Kong Players Club? We're there every other weekend. So I think they have a special room for the Vatican boys, which I think probably now he regrets not knowing about. So that's sad for me. I'm gonna miss my boy. Fucking hope to catch him on the next one, or you know what? I hope to catch the next. Hopefully, I get involved. Hopefully, he bangs my line. Hopefully, he bangs my line, and he's like, "You thought that we were done, but we're just in the back of room now." And I get that locked in. Also, that Hong Kong Gentlemen's Club sponsorship, that would be fucking sick. Okay, so who's boohooing? The CEO of Crafton. Use ChatGPT to push out. So this studio is a game studio. The CEO of this game studio that purchased the rights to this game Subnautica, which the first one I've never played, but I've seen clips online. It looks fun. They purchased the rights to it, and they developed the second one. They said if it hits certain sales goals, they give them $250 million, and they said we'll give you another 250 million if it reaches certain sales goals. So I believe it exceeded the sales goals. However, the CEO did not want to pay him, so he consulted his legal team, and they were like, well, there's a contract, and so we have to pay him. And he's like, no, hold on. I was talking to ChatGPT and doing lots of ketamine, and on all this ketamine, I'm convinced that I don't have to pay him anymore. Like, you don't understand. Like, I think I could spend the $250 million better on more ketamine and yacht parties and whatever the fuck CEOs do. And so he said ChatGPT, after which I guess, so it goes through the whole prompt. So apparently ChatGPT in the beginning was like, no, you have to pay him probably. Like, but also because it doesn't really give you no for an answer. It was like, I guess maybe you could just not. And he's like, okay, let's flesh out me not. And so it gave him a whole plan. It was like, first of all, go on a smear campaign, like put out a public release on Twitter, get them on your side. So he just started to implement this despite his legal team being like, yeah, no, this is no good. And so he then came to his legal team after being like, you know, refusing to pay the guy, and then now incurring significantly more legal fees and going through all this court bullshit, basically just being like, yeah, no, so here's this whole plan. I'm going to ignore everything that you guys say, and I'm going to take it to trial with the ChatGPT prompts. Maybe I should have put this in no surprise. He lost miserably. The judge was like, what are you even doing here? Also, why are you alone? And why are you consuming so much fucking ketamine while we're in the middle of this court proceeding? You're cooked. You have to pay the dude out his money. And yeah, I guess failed miserably in court and is obviously boohooing about it. He's obviously very sad. He had to complete his contractual obligations with this individual and is probably drying up his tears right now with ketamine depression treatments. Yeah, he's boohooing. Crofton CEO. I don't know his name. Not really important. You get trash move for this week. I already talked about it. Honestly, it's a tragedy, and I'll just really kind of touch on it. I mean, we dropped a fucking missile on a girls' school in Iran. We used AI targeting data that they say after a week and after the president claiming that maybe Iran has Tomahawk missiles, which I think is a more interesting claim. It's just an insane claim to be like, it's like, well, how and why did they get sold to them? Why is our intelligence so bad at that? So claim that maybe Iran used one of our missiles to blow up its own girls' school. Whatever. It took fucking over a week for them to be like, oh yeah, actually it was us. And instead of taking any accountability, again, they just blame it on AI and they're like, yeah, fuck, like, yeah, we have to approve all of the targets that AI gives us by manual approval. Like they all have to be done by a real person, and this one was. We promised that this one was done by a real person, but at the end of the day, it was the AI that failed us by like selecting it for targeting. So yeah, it's just a trash move. It's it's one of the worst war crimes America's ever done, and just blatantly and while we're sitting here being gaslit, saying that yeah, just whatever, that it maybe was them. So I think that's pretty crazy. Okay, what grinds my gears this week, and this is another I've already kind of hit on this, but so this is a Time article. It's the same principle of kind of what consistently grinds my gears. So it says the headline of this article is "How are you?" has lost all meaning. Okay, how are you? In quotes, has lost all meaning. Here's a better way to greet people. You probably ask many people you interact with every day the same question, how are you? Yet this phrase, once a genuine inquiry, has morphed into little more than a reflexive greeting. We say while passing a colleague in the hall or running into a neighbor in the produce aisle, which when the fuck does that happen? Okay. Nobody's see, you don't see your neighbor in the produce aisle and be like, how are you? If you don't give a fuck, if you do, you'd be like, how are you? And they'll be like, I'm good or whatever. Cool, sick, awesome. Let's continue our fucking day. Like we're in the middle of, we're in public. We're in public in a place that's not meant for social gathering, a place that's made for shopping, where other people are trying to get the very produce that we're standing in front of and lollygagging and socializing. So, like, this is a perfectly good time to be like, oh, good to see you. Like, how are you doing? Like, oh, I'm doing great. Like, I'm so happy to be here eating these fresh veggies despite us being in a war or whatever. And so, yeah, the article goes on and it says, it's still a great question to ask. The key is following one simple rule. If you're not prepared to listen to the answer, don't ask or choose a different phrase. To me, how are you carries an implicit promise, Nuru says. When you ask that and mean it, you're signaling, hey, I have space and time for you right now. And that's worth being really intentional about. This is why our country's cooked. This is why our country's cooked. You understand how fragile people's like frame of mind have become in this country where I blame this. I don't mean to be youthist or whatever, but the new generation has so little tangible meaning with anything that they get in life. Like they're still collecting Pokemon cards. They're still listening to music from the 2000s. All they have is music that's just basically like fiend. So this youth demographic is so incapable of having, and just generally speaking, like we've become so incapable of dealing with really anything in this world that's not just highly inclusive or highly like conducive to your frame of mind, that be it highly bigoted and you feel like it's an attack on you because you feel like people are like, oh yeah, like maybe we shouldn't give a fuck what gender somebody calls themselves. Like really, like I don't you can feel however you want about it, but like maybe it's not the federal government's job to fucking like label those people as mentally insane. Like I don't really know, but it's not something that makes it so you need to go, like, shoot people or go, like, storm the Capitol building or, whatever, and on this hyper left side of just being like, if you're saying, "How are you?" to me, you're signaling to me that you have space and time for me, and this is worth being really into bitch, we're in the fucking produce aisle. You're my neighbor. Like, I barely know you and talk to you in front of the goddamn house. Like, in front of our house, I say, "How are you?" And if you were to be like, "Actually, my mom died and this and that and blah, blah," I'd be like, "Dog, like, I'm sorry, but like, we didn't go to high school together. Like, we don't like, damn, that's tough." And I would be the Homer Simpson fucking meme where I'm just disappearing into the hedge as they overly burden me with whatever nonsense. Imagine when the fucking produce aisle and I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" And they're like, "Bro, I just got fired. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to afford these groceries. In fact, like, I might not be your neighbor soon. Shit's just not going great for." I'm like, "Shit, dog." And they're like, "Do you not have space right now to host me? Like, do you, are you, I'm sorry. I thought you had time and space to host to be really intentional about your hosting of my time. And so in this produce fucking aisle, uh, maybe don't ask how I am. Okay, like, are these people insane? Like, this is a time these people somebody pays these people. Like, I'm not getting paid. I'm doing this podcast for free out of the love of the motherfucking game, and somebody's paying Nuru to begin with. Whoever first of all, somebody wrote this article and they got paid, and then also whoever this lady is that's being interviewed is like a paid professional that's probably like a college professor or something that's like a shaper of young minds. um, I'm sorry, but, like, not all college degrees are worth it, but if you're going to fucking college and your professor is, I don't know, teaching you communications or whatever, and they're like, "Listen, you don't ask how are you unless you have really intentional time and space to host time." Like, shut the fuck up. Like, really, really, really just shut the fuck up, okay? So that grinds my gears, and then Apple just they push these fucking they I mean they push these notifications to me because they feel like it's valid, and who else could validate this? Because no grown ass adult is reading that and being like, "Damn, like maybe I shouldn't be asking how somebody is at the water cooler unless I have like really intentional time and space to host them at work on our fucking coffee break." Like, imagine you came around the corner, and this is the problem too now. Is that you're a boss, and you come around the corner, and you're all your employees are hosting intentional space when they're supposed to just be drinking fucking water, and you're like, "Can all of you get back to work?" And they're like, "I'm sorry, but Craig asked how I am. I need to host space." Like, both of you fucking fired. Um, yeah, so that grinds my gears. Okay, for you blew it this week. We have a double you blew it. One of them is, I guess, like a mounting you blew it. It's not just this week. It's just like this is again a sad story, but another Cybertruck caught fire and killed the people inside. The batteries, when struck, there's been at least like 5 cases now that just the Guardian was able to find. Which, considering the trucks only sold like 60,000 units or something over 2 years, 5 cases where the car struck something relatively minor, like a fire hydrant or just some rock or something like that, that then the battery caught fire. And then once the battery catches fire, the truck just locks and there's no power. So it's powered doors and windows because it's like bulletproof and like hermetically sealed or whatever. And the battery burns so hot that they can't even get it out of the wall. Like this one story that was the last one, it was somebody just literally incinerated to a crisp inside while they had, and it started a brush fire, and they had to have like 30 firefighters out, firefighters out there to put out this blaze, and they just kept dumping it on the fucking the car battery and just light back up again. So these things are rolling death traps. They also just have parts that fall off because they put the wrong glue on them. I think that was a previously blew it I did. um it just, the car itself just seems like a big you blew it. I actually was driving in and out the other day, and this person had one, and they're trying to back up into the space, and it's literally like this big like boat rectangle thing, and the guy took it in like a 17-point turn in front of me to get into in and out just to get it into the slot. I mean, it was at least a 6-point turn. Just kept like, oh no, hold on, hold on. So they think it's a general, you blew it as a truck in design, and be careful. Hopefully you don't get in a minor collision in if you're driving one, because they're all around Southern California. So hopefully you don't get in a minor collision and it becomes a flaming sarcophagus death trap. The other group of people who blew it this week, so this is a larger group. So it's there's a House of Lords in the UK. This is something new I'm again learning about. Like, I've heard the term House of Lords before, didn't really realize it was a real thing still, but apparently it's not anymore. But there's a House of Lords in the UK that, just from an advisory capacity, which sounds like it's literally just like straight up out of form, reviews the laws that Parliament puts out. So Parliament decides on the laws, they send it to, like, I guess maybe the House of Lords first, and then like the King, I think they send it to the King first, and the King just literally stamps whatever, and then it goes to the House of Lords, and they're like, here, we will decide. I dare say, bloody hell. Oh my God, I'm trying to get the accent. Here, we'll decide what will be what in this new kingdom. Um, I dare say, does this consider my horses? Does this consider my prior patch, or my whatever the fuck English lords? Because this is still, I guess, it was comprised of real still dukes and duchesses and earls and whatever from over 700 years ago, that these people had been instilled in their position, and many of them, well, all of them now, are just through hereditary basis, so they just have potentially no qualification at all to serve in any form of government. And I guess up until just now, they've still had some bit of say. It's like, I dare say, here, has this new bill considered playing bolo on Saturdays? Like, if it has not, I'm not sure that it's going to pass the parliamentary chops of Lord Duke Ale Greybeard the 15th of Durkindonshire, population 5. So yeah, they blew it. I don't know what exactly they did. I think there was something where they tried to get in the way of it, and they basically were like, what? Like, what the what is you say, you stupid bloody mug? You're gonna get in our way. You're gonna mucky up our new ordinances or whatever. Like, you cut. How about that? How about that? We're done with this bloody monkey shit. And so they cut them out. And now I guess the House of Lords it's like actually people with credentials, like people that had served in the military. It's all advisory stuff. So it's people that actually served in the military. Sorry about the accent there. Bear with me. I needed a little spot to get worked in it. Does this new law consider us hunting foxes? No? Oh, I'm fired? Oh. Okay, well, I'm going to go continue to hunt foxes. Yeah, they blew that. Okay. For King Petty this week, this is a whole group, a whole petty team. There was, let me see who it is, because I just have the headline here. So okay, so it is Rebel Wilson. So Rebel Wilson is the bitch, the Queen Petty in this. So Rebel Wilson is some actress. Like, I'm looking at her picture right now, and I recognize her from some stuff. I mean, you could see, like, she's this chick. Okay, so apparently she had some beef with a producer. There was a film producer, Amanda Ghost, and she had some type of behind closed doors argument with her that she disagreed with. And so she reached out to her crisis public relations team, which, like, goddamn celebrities, with plans to create anonymous websites that accuse the producer of the Deb of sex trafficking as part of like, basically they're in there and they're like, okay, we got to smear this bitch. What's hot right now? Like, what's a hot button issue? Like, we have Iran. I don't know how to fucking work that in with her. Like, maybe we could say she's part of a sleeper cell. Do you think that's a good idea? No, that's not okay. What else is? Ooh, Jeff Epp. Like, everybody hates Jeff Epp right now. Jeff Epp is so out, and sex trafficking is so, like, passe. Like, it's so fucking, that's so 2012 through 2018 type shit. So, and even further back. So, like, we could just say that what do you think about this? We organize a series of AI generated websites and blog posts that accuse her of long-standing sex trafficking as a madam of Hollywood, and that she solicited our client, which, mind you, did you see her? I mean, maybe 20 years ago, she got solicited to do sex work or whatever for the madam of Hollywood. But I think the only people paying Rebel Wilson in 2026 for any sex related acts would be like somebody in Dubai that would shit on her. So yeah, this is this. I mean, you get it. The headline really sells itself. She fucking tried to get her PR team, and I don't know like how much of it they actually effectively moved on. I think probably just one person was in the office, and they're like, "This is literally insane. I can't believe I'm paid by these people to do this, and they just want me to shut my mouth and sit here." So they just recorded it, and they just dropped that little ditty on YouTube or whatever, which I think then just kind of put it in its tracks. But she's probably cooked. That's a pretty cooked thing to do. Like I wouldn't hire that person afterwards for really anything, especially as like you did that to a producer, not even like a co-star, but a producer. I'm an unnamed financier of this fucking production, so you can figuratively, and I mean that figuratively, suck it, Rebel Wilson. Stranger than fiction this week. I have Peter Thiel. If you don't know who he is, he's the angel investor. He's considered to be the world's most famous, most successful angel investor. So he invested in PayPal. He invested in the other big one that stands out to me is Palantir, which the CEO of Palantir is on an insane sick one right now. Like he is clearly doing so much ketamine. Um, he was fucking. I saw a video of him. Oh shit! I saw a video of him where he's doing ketamine, like or not ketamine. Sorry, he's doing a press conference with these fucking investors, and not even a press conference, but just like an investor report, his quarterly report. And he's so high, it's insane. Like if he's not high on ketamine, then it's an even bigger problem because he's fucking high on something. And if it's just straight up on power, I've never seen anybody that high. Let's just say that. And I like a lot of drugs, and so he literally the quote. I'm gonna butcher it, so I won't call it a quote, but the gist of what he says is Palantir's and everything. We're doing everything now. We're winning. We can't stop. We're going to be leveraged and invested in every major, like we firmly back the West. We're going to be majored and invested in every major bit of infrastructure with the United States and Western democracies that want to ally with us. We're building platforms specifically with that nature. Palantir will overcome and conquer all of our competitors, and in some cases, we will kill our foes. I hope that you're on board with that. If you're not on board with that, sorry, but that's just what it is. So you have him saying that, and you have Peter Thiel, who's the angel investor behind Palantir, who's been on an antichrist kick. He's claiming that he has read the biblical signs and that we're potentially on the cusp of the antichrist. And he's saying that it might not come in the form of an individual, but it might come in the form of like a mass form of government manipulation, like a mass coalition that would organize and orchestrate to fight against AI. This is literally what this fucking guy is saying. Like one of the richest people in the world, and he's on a tour right now lecturing privately with, I'm sure, let's just say they're not influential people that are being invited to the private lectures, but with the world's, just whoever will listen that has whatever amount of influence that somebody like him would be interested in inviting. He's been on a global lecture tour to discuss the rising of the Antichrist and how it would take form in something that would organize against AI. Because I believe he thinks that AI will prevent the Antichrist. Like, I'm not sure, but he's in the Vatican right now, setting up meetings and just doing private lectures, which like the Vatican has distanced itself from it. They're definitely not like on the, we got the Antichrist coming type tip with him. But I just think it's strange. It literally sounds like something out of a fucking Da Vinci Code novel or like a fucking, I don't know, like an Amazon movie plot. Like world's richest man becomes real life supervillain in engineering the Antichrist through trying to defeat the Antichrist by by refusing any intrusion in AI's advancement and really using his vast amounts of power and wealth and influence to influence people to not in any way come together to stem the tide of AI as our like global help bot that will just make everything great for everybody. So that's fucking stranger than fiction. And for straight out of science fiction, this goes hand in hand with this. I mean, I've literally seen this movie again. So the Pentagon is planning for AI companies to train like their train their models on classified data. So currently the Pentagon uses AI models, which is interesting, in classified data situations like targeting girls' schools. And so they use AI models, but they cannot access they can't see what they're looking at. They can only, which that's probably why girls' schools get blown up or whatever. So they can only fucking like, I guess, like assess it in the moment, and they don't learn on it. They don't train on it. And so because girls' schools are being blown up by Tomahawk missiles, I think that they're pivoting and they're like, damn, like maybe we should let it learn it. And so now they're training, they're letting the models of these AI companies, which they're now openly saying that they're like, yeah, no, we're pro war. Like we're okay with um like to protect you guys from AI targeting data that would infringe on your rights and allow them to mass target you guys through like manipulation and like targeted AI fucking data like China. We're gonna give them the tools to do that, so that way we can stop them from doing it to you. We'll just let them do it to other people. So to that end, the Pentagon is allowing AI companies to train on the classified data, and I think I've seen this movie. I'm pretty sure that that's how Skynet comes out. Like the way that this administration processes data, they're probably just like they're just gonna give it to them and they're gonna be like, oh shit, we could just run this whole show. Like these dudes are dumb as fuck, and they're just gonna be like, yeah, we have a nuclear launch, and they'll be like, what? Like triple check that with like actual visual confirmation on satellites. I'm like, no. AI says it's a launch. Like let's just what does AI say we should do back? And it's like it says we should escalate and also fire nukes, and then that's Skynet. That's the end of the world. So mm, we maybe got that looking forward to. So live it up. Um, the tech this week you have now robot dogs, robot AI dogs by Boston Dynamics. It's their number one selling product. They're guarding sports games. They're being sold to law enforcement. They're just like little security, like little gazelle robot doggy things that have cameras and like I think probably can be equipped with like stun and shit. And so now that server farms to host AI are being built, and they're just basically huge swaths of land that are consuming like vast amounts of local resources, and probably like they're invested in keeping potentially like hordes and mobs of people that are tired of their groundwater being polluted by these people or whatever from destroying these servers, because they have to keep making these like silly little generative AI like memes and stuff. They want to buy a bunch of these robo dogs. So yeah, that's in tech this week. Fucking robo dogs are popping off. Like I mean, expect to see them at your local sports games and other outings. Um, what's good with celebs? I'm gonna close out on this. This is a little personal interest. Sorry, I guess Timothy gets no Oscars. Rip for the Chalamet. I mean, honestly, bro, he was. I mean, he was fucking nominated for 9. He didn't get one. I mean, DeCap didn't get one. I mean, DeCap has worked in basically every major like good movie in the last fucking 20 years, and I think he only now has one. He still didn't get, or he didn't get another one. So like I'm sure Timmy's not fucking I'm sure he's not hurting for anything. I'm sure he's fucking I mean he's bone zoning, he's boning fucking Kylie Jenner and gallivanting the world as the new Paul Muad'Dib, while also snagging up like basically every major Hollywood role for a leading man outside of Tom Holland for the last fucking couple years and going forward. So my boy's locked in. I'm sure he's gonna win another, or he'll get another chance and probably win an Oscar. And DeCap is a walking meme. DiCaprio still got it. Fucking my boy pulled up with the mustache. 22-year-old girlfriend on the arm. Just kidding. I think he was solo, or maybe brought his mom or something. And yeah, they just turned him into a meme live on camera. They're like, do the face for when we surprise you. Go. And another hitter. So yeah, Right Brain Forest episode 13. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Definitely got a little topical on this one, a little less jokey jokes, but you know, sometimes it'd be like that. Sometimes there's just less jokes in the news. I hope you like the Costa Rica background. Next week I don't know, maybe we'll do some Medellin or something. But yeah, hope you guys have a good weekend, whenever you're hearing this.